Welcome to Catalyst Medhub, where we ignite understanding and make learning easier. In our today's class, we shall be discussing on homeostasis under introductory physiology. Have you ever wondered why, despite the change in the external environment, our body keeps regulating its temperature, the blood pressure, the blood sugar level, and to some extent the pH? It does that all because of the homeostasis. And homeostasis is simply refers to the ability of a body to maintain a stable internal environment. That is homeostasis. Simply means the ability of a body to maintain constant internal environment despite the external changes. The word homeostasis is derived from the two words. Homeo means same, and stasis means constant. Homeostasis is very important in the sense that it regulates the actions of the cells of the body. It allows the cells of the body to function normally. It also allows the actions of the enzymes, because for some certain conditions, the enzymes are being denatured, such as in high temperature. If there is no homeostasis, if there is high temperature, the enzyme activity will be inhibited. So the problem that will arise is due to all the changes of the internal environment, they are being corrected by homeostasis. Ability of a body to maintain stable internal environment. The internal environment is simply refers to as the extracellular fluid through which the cells live. And the extracellular fluid include blood that flows in the vascular system, as well as the interstitial fluid that are located between cells. Extracellular fluid, they contain nutrients, ions, and other factors that are necessary for the survival of the cell. It is believed that multicellular animal, includes a man, lives in a constant, maintained internal environment called the milieu interior. Milieu interior. That is short introduction to homeostasis. Now, what are the functions of this homeostasis, or what is the importance of this homeostasis? That is functions or importance of homeostasis. So, among the importance of homeostasis is very important because one, cells function under stable condition. Two, the activity of the enzymes, they are being carried out under certain condition. And lastly, it is important because it coordinates the general function of the body properly. Now, what are the variables that are being maintained by homeostasis? The variables that are being maintained by homeostasis include one, body temperature. Two, pH. Three, blood pressure. Four, water balance. Five, blood glucose level, etc. These are the variables that are being maintained by homeostasis. And again, various systems of our body, they participate in homeostasis. The various body systems, they participate in homeostasis. For example, digestive system also participate in homeostasis because digestive system provide body with nutrients, which is very essential for the effectiveness function of the cell. Also, the skin also participates in homeostasis because it serves as an excretory organ. It excretes some certain substances such as salt and urea. It also covers the entire body from mechanical damage. Respiratory system also participates in homeostasis because it is involved in the exchange of the gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is very important for the cell function, and carbon dioxide is movable because it is a waste product. So Respiratory system is very important in homeostasis because it helps in the maintenance of water balance as well as acid balance in the body. The next system is blood and circulatory system. As we all know, the nutrients from the body, they reach individual cells of the body by the blood. So the blood and circulatory system, they are very important because they help in the transport of the nutrients to various parts of the cells and also bringing back the waste product to the excretory organs from the tissue. Excretory system is very important because it helps to remove the waste product from the body. It helps in the maintenance of the water balance, acid balance, as well as temperature regulation. The endocrine system. Also, endocrine system is very important in homeostasis because it helps in the secretion of hormone which controls various systems or which controls various organs in order to bring about homeostasis. So, various systems in our body, they participate or work together to bring about homeostasis. Next is the component of homeostatic system. The components of homeostatic system include: one, there is detector or receptor or sensor. Two, there is control center or integrating center, control center or integrating center. And three, there is effector. These are the components of homeostatic system. The detector is one that will detect the changes, such as thermoreceptors which detect changes in temperature. The control center or the integrating center, they are the one that will integrate or process the changes that is coming from the detector. An example of the control integrating center is hypothalamus. Then the effector is now the organ that will talk about the changes under the message from the control center. So now, this is our detector, the control center, and the effector. The detector will detect changes and then sends the information to the control center through afferent pathway. Then the control center will process the information and the information will reach the effector through efferent pathway. Then after the information has reached the effector will not carry out response to correct the change. So this is the component of homeostatic system. The next is mechanism of action of homeostatic system. Mechanism of action of homeostatic system. Mechanism of action of homeostatic in our body is just the ways through which homeostasis maintains the internal environment of the body or bringing the normalcy after the change in the internal environment. And the homeostatic mechanism is achieved by three types of feedback control systems, which are: one, the negative feedback, two, positive feedback, and three, feed forward control system. So the homeostatic mechanism is achieved by three types of the feedback control system: negative feedback control system, positive feedback control system, and feed forward control system. The first one, negative feedback control system. The first one is negative feedback feedback control system. First, we should know that among the control system, the negative feedback control system is the most common in our body. And the negative feedback control system, it is a control system that reverses the direction of the changes to bring normalcy. Or it is a system through which the body reacts to stop or to reverse the direction of the changes. In negative feedback control system, if the changes is positive, the negative feedback will react in negative way. And if the changes is negative, the negative feedback will react in positive way. So it usually reverses the direction of the changes, and it is the most common feedback control system. Example of negative feedback control system includes 1. Hormone secretion regulation, e.g. thyroid hormone, e.g. tyrosine. 2. Regulation of water balance, regulation of water balance. 3. Body temperature regulation, regulation. 4. Blood glucose regulation. Negative feedback mechanism is the most common feedback mechanism in our system. There are numerous examples of negative feedback control system. First one hormone secretion regulation using negative feedback. Example, tyrosine. We know that the thyroid stimulating hormone is released from the pituitary gland, then from the pituitary gland it will reach the thyroid gland. And from the thyroid it will now stimulate the thyroid gland to release hormone tyrosine. Now, increase in the concentration of tyrosine in the blood. If the tyrosine is increased in the blood, it will inhibit the release of this thyroid stimulating hormone. So this is just a simple way through which the negative feedback control system works. If there is a decrease in the tyrosine, it will stimulate the thyroid stimulating hormone so that it can stimulate the release of tyrosine from the thyroid gland. And if the tyrosine concentration is much in the blood, will inhibit the release of thyroid stimulating hormone, which will stop or reduce the secretion of tyrosine hormone. For the regulation of the water balance, if there is a decrease in the water balance, let's say dehydration. If you are dehydrated, that means your water content is low, but the osmolar concentration will increase. Now, increase in osmolar concentration will be detected by a receptor called osmoreceptors. Now, the osmoreceptors, they are present in the hypothalamus. They will now stimulate hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus will release ADH. That is antidiuretic hormone. The antidiuretic hormone will reach the renal tubules, and the renal tubules will start to absorb water to bring back the normal osmolar concentration. So, regulation of water balance is also through negative feedback mechanism. If there is a dehydration, there will be an increase in osmolar concentration, and it will be detected by a receptor called the osmoreceptor. From there, the antidiuretic hormone will be released, and it will be carried to the renal tubule, telling the renal tubule to absorb water. Because in the absence of antidiuretic hormone, the renal tubule, they are impermeable for water. So once the antidiuretic hormone reaches the renal tubule, the water will now be reabsorbed to bring back the normal osmolar concentration. Likewise, the body temperature and blood glucose regulation, all of them, they are through negative feedback control system. The next one is the positive feedback control system. Positive feedback control system, it is the control system in which the body acts by accelerating the change in the same direction. So in positive feedback control system, the body will act by amplifying the change in the same direction until a specific event occurs. And the positive feedback control system is less common. It is very important during critical conditions. Example of positive feedback include 1. Blood coagulation. Blood coagulation. 2. Milk ejection reflex. Milk ejection reflex. 3. Parturition. So the positive feedback control is less common and is very important during critical conditions. Example in blood coagulation or in parturition. In blood coagulation, we know that the blood coagulation is very necessary during injury to stop bleeding, thereby decreases the chances of losing too much of blood. And the blood formation usually occurs in 3 steps, which are 1. Formation of prothrombin activator. Formation of prothrombin activator. 2. Conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. And lastly, conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. These are the 3 steps through which the blood coagulates. First is the formation of the prothrombin activator. After the formation of the prothrombin activator, now the prothrombin will now be converted to the thrombin, and the thrombin will now convert fibrinogen to fibrin, and the blood will now clot. Now we should know that this thrombin again, it also accelerates the formation of prothrombin activator. So the more the prothrombin is converted to the thrombin, the more prothrombin activator is formed, and at the same time, the more fibrinogen will be converted to fibrin up to the time that the blood will completely clot. So in positive feedback mechanism, one step will activate another until the end of the event. The same thing in milk ejection reflex and parturition. Both of them involve the release of an hormone, oxytocin. Milk ejection reflex and parturition, that is childbirth, both of them involve the release of an hormone, oxytocin. So hormone oxytocin is regulated through positive feedback control system. Now, in milk ejection reflex, around the nipple there are touch receptors that are very sensitive. So as the baby is sucking the breast, these touch receptors will be stimulated and they will send signal to the hypothalamus, which will release the oxytocin. The more the baby is sucking, the more the oxytocin will be releasing, and the oxytocin is responsible for the contraction of endothelial cells of the breast. So the same thing in parturition, that is childbirth. As the baby is trying to come out, these touch receptors that are present around the cervix, they will be activated or they will be stimulated. Once they are stimulated, the impulse will be sent to the hypothalamus and oxytocin will be released. The oxytocin that is releasing is responsible for the contraction of the uterus for easy childbirth. So the more the receptors are being activated or are being stimulated at the cervix, the more the oxytocin will be released and the more the contraction will be intensified. The oxytocin separation will not stop in both milk ejection reflex and in parturition until the end of that event. For the milk ejection, until the baby stops sucking, and for the parturition until the end of the childbirth. Both the milk ejection reflex and parturition, they are neuroendocrine reflex. They are both neuroendocrine reflex because they begin with nervous stimulation and end by the release of hormones. So that is one positive feedback control system. The last control system here is feed forward control system. This feed forward control system, it detects changes that is likely to occur in future. thereby take an appropriate control measure that will stop or that will avert the disturbance that will be caused by that changes in future. So the difference between this feed-forward control system and the feedback control system is that the feedback control system only detects changes that have already occurred, whereby the feed-forward control system detects changes that are likely to occur in nature, then thereby bringing a solution which will avert the disturbance that will be caused by that changes. Example of the feed-forward include: 1. Secretion of estrogen hormone before ovulation. 2. Secretion of gastric juice and saliva on sighting the food. And thirdly, the changes that occur in the heart while preparing for exercise. So that is on the feed-forward control system. The last thing we shall be discussing under homeostasis is the applied physiology. So under the applied physiology, there is homeostatic imbalance. Homeostatic imbalance is just a condition in which the body fails to maintain stable internal environment. Homeostatic imbalance is the condition in which the body fails to maintain constant internal environment, and it is the beginning of all the disease and disorders of the body. The causes of this homeostatic imbalance include stress, excessive alcohol, excessive exercise, dehydration, hypoxia, lack of water intake, sleeplessness, long-term illness, genetic disorder, as well as aging. These are the common causes of homeostatic imbalance, and the consequences of the homeostatic imbalance include hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, diabetes mellitus, dehydration, hypertension, heart failure, disease caused by digestion, and gout. So those are the common consequences of the homeostatic imbalance. We have come to the end of our class on homeostasis. Kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any new video.